Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pink Buckaroo Designs. I'm back with another stellar birthday project. I love this stamp set. I love to color with my Stampin' Blend, so this is perfect if you like to color. And this is just a real fun, cutesy set, which is always my favorite. We're gonna make this little box. See how it looks kind of like the night sky? And inside are, what better than moon pies? Too many moon pies will fit, and there's lots of flavors of moon pies, and they're relatively inexpensive. I have a link on my blog to where I got them on Amazon if you're interested. Now, speaking of the moon, I brought in another stamp set. This is called To the Moon, and look at that image. So we're going to use that. It's perfect for to go with our little astronaut boy. Okay, let's get started. We're going to make this box, and it's going to need to dry, so we'll start with that. You're going to need 2 pieces of Night of Navy cardstock. Let's start with the bigger one. This one is 7 1/4 by 6 1/2, and we're going to score it at 1 3/4 on all 4 sides. There we go. Now, for the lid, you need a piece that is 5 by 5 3/4, and we're going to make a little shim on the left side. Now, you can only create a shim when you are turning your cardstock and scoring the same measurement on all 4 sides. This is going to make our lid just a tiny bit bigger so it slides down on our box perfectly. So I have a little stack of Post-it notes, probably 6 Post-it notes. Now I'm going to start here, and I'm going to do 1 inch on all 4 sides. Make sure you're turning. That way you're giving yourself that width on both sides, on all 4 sides of your lid. Okay, now we're going to trim these, but we're not going to put them together. We're going to wait until our stars have dried. Let's start here. On the shorter sides, I'm going to cut these score lines. Looks like I've got some things stuck to my scissors. Cut these score lines, and then cut a sliver off each of the, well, it looks like maybe my scissors are sticky. Cut a sliver off of each square, okay? Do the same thing on the other side. And there we go. Okay, now get your lid piece. I'm going to switch to my smaller scissors and do the same thing. Okay, cut a sliver off. This is a traditional box that has a bottom and a top, kind of like a gift box. It's really probably the easiest box to make. You just need to measure around whatever it is you need a box for, and do the same scoring. You score however high your item is. I have a great video showing you how to make a box. If you're interested, you can find it on my YouTube channel. Let's see, I need to do this one just a little bit better. There we go. Okay, you know, I'm going to go ahead and burnish those lines too. That way, when we get over here to put it together, it'll be ready. Now, to make the night sky, I actually have 4 projects with this set, and each one has the night sky done a little bit differently. This time, we're going to do some splatter with an ink refill. I have used Designer Series paper on another one. I've used a stencil on another. You'll have to check them all out. All right, now we're going to need a piece of grid paper, because this is going to get a little messy. Now, I'm going to use just one of my extra blocks and my white craft ink. And I'm going to squeeze out a little bit onto my block. And then I'm going to get my water painter, and I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of water like that. Okay, now I'm going to splatter all over using the lid like that. Okay, and just do as much or as little as you'd like. I never know when to stop, so I like to do a lot. And remember, on the bottom, really all you're going to see are these sides. Okay, there we go. Let's move that over to dry. Now for the lid, you're going to do the same thing, but remember this time you're going to see that this whole front section as well as the sides. All right, there we go. Now to clean this, just go over to your sink and rinse it and it'll come right off. Same with this. Okay, let's set this aside to dry. And we're gonna do some coloring, some stamping. We're gonna stamp our little guy in Memento Black because we are going to color him with Stampin' Blends. Stampin' Blends are alcohol ink. So Memento is the black you want to use. And for our beautiful moon, we're going to use Smoky Slate. And I'm going to put a little pad underneath, just a foam mat. This will help when you have a large photopolymer stamp. Sometimes, depending on your table, you might get a bubble in the middle. When I stamp over on my counter, that doesn't happen, but for some reason on this table, it happens. So I just have a little foam mat, and I'm going to stamp our moon. Look at that. Isn't that neat? My daughter loves astronomy, space, and when I showed her the stamp set, she loved it. Really good. Okay, let's color our guy. We're going to use Smoky Slate to color his little uniform. You could leave it white, which I do in another project, but I think this time we will do him having a little gray suit. Now you want to work in small batches, small areas, because the ink will dry pretty fast. And with the shading, you need the ink to be a little bit still wet. So I did light, and I'm going to take dark, Smoky Slate, and come under here and add a shadow. Shadow there, shadow there, shadow there, and then maybe just a little shadow up behind his belt. Come back with your light and blend all that in. Now we're going to do the same thing down here on his bottom, his pants, bottom of his spacesuit. I'm going to put a shadow with a dark right here under the belt, right here, and maybe just kind of along this side. Okay, and then just blend all that in. Now we're going to come up to his helmet. And you want to be real careful because you don't want to get any of this on his face, because we're going to use a light color for his face. I am using the bullet tip end because this is a pretty small space and I feel like I have much better control when I use the bullet tip end. Now shadow down here like this. And then just up a little bit like that. Actually, let's put a little bit more shadow on this side of him. And blend that over. This part up here is going to be the lightest, so we want to just kind of feather that out. All right. Now I'm going to do just the dark right here for this part. I don't know what those parts are called. Down here, I'm going to do dark. And for his boots, I'm going to do 2 layers of dark so that they are a little bit darker. You could use basic black, but I find that basic black Stampin' Blend is just a little bit too dark for detailed things like this. So if you put a couple of layers of either Smoky Slate or Gray Granite on there, it'll look somewhat black. All right, I'm going to use Real Red for his belt. And I'm just going to use Real Red Dark. No need for shading here. Okay. And for his star, I've got Dark Daffodil Delight right there. For his hair, I'm going to use Soft Suede Light. And just so tiny, you just kind of want to dot, dot, dot. For his little tongue, which I missed the first time, I'm going to do a light pink. I used Light Flirty Flamingo. And I chose to use Petal Pink for his face. There are so many different combinations of colors you can use for skin tone. This is just kind of my go-to standard peachy skin tone. We also have an ivory marker, but I don't know, I like Petal Pink. So color in his face and then go back with the shadow. And he's gonna have a shadow all around that. And then you could just do little cheeks like that. Isn't he just the cutest? Okay, I think I got everything. Now, unfortunately, this set does not have dies, so we're gonna cut him out with scissors. This is called fussy cutting, and I know some of you are not fans, but if you practice, you'll get better, and then you'll not feel so stressed out by it. I know it does stress some people out, but then some people like me love to fussy cut. It's kind of relaxing. The trick is to get a small pair of scissors. Don't try to use your big scissors. You'll be frustrated for sure. And stay right on the outside of that black line. And what I like to do, like this little space here, I just kind of skip it and come back later when I have less cardstock to deal with. I'm going to cut big chunks of cardstock off as I go too. Okay, so you can see I'm leaving just a white border around the edge of him. Okay, the hands are probably the trickiest part here. So just go slow. Use your left hand to turn the paper. And then, before you know it, you're done. Let's go back in right here. This little nook and cranny right here. And there we go. Is it perfect? No. Does the recipient care if your fussy cutting is perfect? No, they do not. All right, for our moon, we are going to use a 2 3/4 inch layering circle die. And I'm going to bring over my mini cut and emboss. This is going to fit in here perfectly. And just put that right around there. And run it through. The mini cut and emboss is so easy. It's so light and portable. You can just move it around, and almost all of our dies fit in there. Not all of them, the bigger ones don't, but most of the rest of them sure do. All right, I think, let's see, let's stamp the sentiment and then we'll put our box together. I'm stamping You're Out of This World onto this stitched tag, which comes from the message die. I've been using the heck out of this die. And let's see, I used this one right here on just basic white. Now, it's probably best to stamp first and then cut it out, but we're going to try it. And so that you don't waste a whole lot of paper, you can just cut a small section of white and put it underneath that part of the die and cut it out. All right, I think we're ready to put our box together. Now, we already have them ready to go, so all we need to do is get our adhesive. Typically, I like to use Tombow, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal. I find that Tombow liquid really holds the box together well, especially here in South Texas where it's nice and humid. All right, fold those into the sides. Okay, and there we go. See how simple that is? There's your box. Let's put our moon pies in there. You can fit 2 minis perfectly. Okay, now this lid is going to go together in the exact same way. We're going to fold those sides in squares like that, and there we go. Now let's see, how did our little, oh, that's perfect. Look at that. Look how nice that is. We used that Post-it note stack and it made it absolutely perfect. Okay, we have to have a ribbon always on our box. Well, I do anyway. This is the gray granite ribbon. And I'm going to tie it to the side. Uh-oh, my stars are smearing. I don't think I was quite dry. Make sure your box is plenty dry before you put it together. All right, tie this on the side like that. See how I left it on the bolt so I didn't waste too much? That's all I wasted, is that tiny piece. Now let's get some dimensionals, and we're going to put one above and one below. Put our moon kind of off. See how it's kind of hanging off? And then our astronaut, we'll put, let's see, put it here so I can see. And I kind of have him flying across the moon like that. And then last but not least, you're out of this world. And there you have it. How stinking cute are these? Party favors, birthday treats, thinking of you, teacher appreciation, all kinds of reasons you could use this little box. And I just think it's so fun and relatively easy. Now make sure you click on the link here on my blog. It'll take you to a post where I have 2 other Stellar birthday projects, as well as a free PDF for you under the last photo that has all the measurements and all the supplies that I used. Have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.